Welcome back to Tell by Belle. I'm your host, Bella Wee. In Season 2, we hope to explore the beauty of poetry and uncover the ways each poem resonates with our everyday lives. So I hope you're ready to listen with full attention, because attention reaps retention. Today, let us continue with Anthology of Poems for Year 6 pupils in local schools across Malaysia. We have 2 delightful and deceptively simple poems that at first glance might make us smile, but I think there's a lot more beneath the surface. We'll be reading Toast by Judith Nichols and My Sister's Eating Porridge by John Cowell. Without further ado, let's begin with the first one. Toes by Judith Nichols. Toes, handy to wiggle, useful to kick, fun to tickle, hard to lick, good to count on, walk on, run. Feet without toes would be much less fun. To me, it's quite clear. There's nothing as neat as a fine set of toes on the end of your feet. Toes by Judith Nichols. What a charming poem, isn't it? At first, it seems like an ode to toes, those small, often forgotten parts of our bodies. But there's something profound in how Nichols draws our attention to them. The poem asks us to appreciate something that's always with us, something that we rely on every single day, yet rarely acknowledge. To me, this poem is about the beauty of the small things, the quiet, unnoticed parts of life. Toes are tiny, yet without them, so much of what we do will become difficult, maybe even impossible. Think about how they provide balance when we stand, how they grip the ground when we run, or how they help us kick through water when we swim. Toes may not be flashy, but they're definitely essential. This reminds me of how we often overlook the quiet constants in our lives, whether that's a supportive friend, a daily routine, or even just the ability to walk outside on a sunny day. Life can be so busy that we don't stop to think about what holds everything together. Sometimes the smallest things, just like toes, are what give us stability. They're the foundation beneath our feet, the things we count on, even if we rarely stop to notice them. Nichols' poem encourages us to pause and reflect on those unsung heroes in our lives, the things we count on but never praise. Because as the poem says, without them, life would be much less fun. And I think that's true for so much more than just toes. Next, let's move on to our second poem, My Sister's Eating Porridge by John Cowell. A seemingly light-hearted poem, but I believe it reveals some deeper truths about life. Here we go. My Sister's Eating Porridge by John Cowell. My sister's eating porridge. It's going everywhere. Up her nose and down her front, a dollop in her hair. My sister's eating porridge. She's missed her mouth again. Now it's dripping off her spoon like lumpy porridge rain. My sister's eating porridge, and Moses on the floor. No wonder she is hungry and crying out for more. Ah, the image of a child trying to eat porridge and getting it everywhere, but in her mouth. It's something we've all witnessed at some point, right? Even without a sibling at home, you've probably seen it in a restaurant or the airport. It's funny, messy, and almost chaotic. But beneath the humor of it all, I see a poignant reflection on the process of learning, of making mistakes, and on how life is, by its very nature, a bit messy. This poem reminds me that life, especially when we're young, is all about trial and error. The sister in this poem is just trying to eat, but obviously it's not working out the way she planned. There's porridge in her hair, down her front, on the floor, and yet she's undeterred. Even though she's covered in porridge, she's still asking for more. To me, this is a metaphor for resilience. She hasn't gotten it right the first time, but she's still hungry. She's still eager to keep going. Now that's the lesson here about persistence and embracing the messiness of life. Too often, we can become discouraged by our own mistakes, by things not going as we planned. We might feel embarrassed or frustrated when life feels a little out of control, much like the sister spilling porridge all over herself. But what I love most about this poem is that it shows how natural and even important those messy moments are. They're part of the process of growing, learning, and becoming who we truly are. When we make a mess, whether that's literally like spilling food or metaphorically like making a wrong decision, it's easy to feel like we failed. But just like the sister, we can choose to keep going, to ask for more. Because even when things don't go smoothly, those moments are shaping us. They're teaching us patience, resilience, and the ability to laugh at ourselves along the way. This poem also speaks something universal about the human condition, the idea that we're all, in one way or another, figuring out as we go. None of us are perfect, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes the most important thing is to keep trying, even when we don't get it right the first time, or the second, or even the third. Life is like eating porridge as a toddler. It's often messy, but it's in that mess that we find our hunger for more. So, today we've seen how two seemingly light and playful poems can actually open a door to some deep reflections on life. Toast reminds us to appreciate the small, essential things we often take for granted. And My Sister's Eating Porridge shows us the beauty in persistence even when things get a little messy. Both poems, in their own way, invite us to pause and reflect on the everyday moments that shape us. The small joys, the little stumbles, and the resilience to keep going. So as you go through your day, maybe take a moment to appreciate the small things that keep you balanced. And don't be afraid to embrace the mess when things don't go as planned. After all, as we've learned today, it's all part of the journey. Thank you all for tuning in to Till By Bell. I hope today's poems and reflections resonated with you. Until next time, keep appreciating the little things and stay open to life's lessons, even if they come with a bit of porridge on the floor. This is Bella Wee signing off. See you next time on Till By Bell.